Mai departe, a patra revoluție în industrie condusă de automatizare va schimba drastic modelul industrial și se va extinde la sectoarele conexe. Fabrica digitală, adică fabrica viitorului, este văzută un spațiu sigur în care oamenii coexistă cu roboții colaborativi, în care are loc exploatarea continuă a tuturor datelor și proceselor și o abordare predictivă bazată pe inteligență artificială. Inovația are un rol cheie aici. Îl invit acum alături de noi pe scenă pe Pietro Collini, Innovation Assistant Project Manager at RESOLVO. Pietro Collini va avea cu siguranță invitații. Te așteptăm. We're waiting for you, Pietro. Va avea invitați la rândul lui, alături de care va discuta despre ce înseamnă inovația în modelul industrial și care sunt acele sectoare conexe la care va fi extins modelul industrial. Hello and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
So, good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you for having us here. I mean, it's a great pleasure for us to be at this conference. I know there are many people connected online, and I mean, we are also thankful because we are here in person, and for us it's a special occasion because after 2 years of pandemic is the first time we can exchange with peers and come in person, hosted by our partners from the Oil Pozdru Bucharest Ilfov. So I would like first of all to introduce the speakers, and then we will have a few words about this panel. So Lorenzo Sabatini, please on stage, lead partner of the 4.0 Ready project, from the development agency of the Empolese Valdelsa in Tuscany. And then we have Barbara Szafir, Deputy Ministry of the Marshal Office of Silesia. And yes. And then we have here in person Stefan Grigore, from the Smart Alliance IT cluster, a stakeholder of the project, of our Romanian partners. And online we have connected Jessica Miclotte from the digital agency of WALLONIA. She's also a stakeholder in this project. Povilas Bacevičius from the Lithuanian Innovation Center, stakeholder of the project as well. And Besnik Mehmeti, who is the lead partner of a twin project of the Interregional program, also on Industry 4.0. So, a few words for those who are not familiar with the project. 4.0 Ready is a European funded project under the Interreg Europe program. And the Interreg Europe program is a program who's helping local and regional governments in delivering better policies. This is done through policy learning and interregional exchange. And in particular, the 4.0 Ready program is addressing Industry 4.0 through support to SMEs in preparing for Industry 4.0 revolution. This is done through ESF funds, and in particular for vocational and professional capacity building, and through ERDF funds for technological organizational and skills development. So I already introduced the speakers. Before asking them a few questions, we were thinking of a couple of points that are relevant and to be kept as an umbrella to our conversation, and it is the relevance of the human factor in digitalization. And the second point was the skills that are needed for driving this digitalization. I would like to start from Lorenzo. And the question for you is, of course, if you can briefly present the 4.0 Ready project and what is done within it to assess the needs of SMEs.
Yes, thank you, Pietro. And thanks to for this invitation to this conference to our project. 4.0 Ready project is an Interreg Europe one, as Pietro said, and our scope is providing good policies in the participant regions and working through the interregional cooperation at this purpose. The focus is just focused on the human factor in dealing with the 4.0 revolution. The idea is working together in order to prepare and provide better policies, better support measures for small and medium enterprise particularly, in order to facilitate the integration of the new technologies within the own production process. At the beginning of this revolution, in several regions, particularly in Tuscany, my region, we forgot the human factor. We launched several support measures, but in order to facilitate the purchasing, for instance, of new hardware and new software, for supporting also research and innovation, but we forgot that as first, entrepreneurs and workers had to understand the revolution who was happening and had to understand how to get the opportunity to relaunch on business and on production process to such new technology. So now in Tuscany and in several other regions, we are working to support just the people, just the entrepreneurs themselves. And for Zero Ready project particularly, we are working together in order to understand what we can do in our region. We are 7 regions coming from all the edges of Europe, and we are working as first in order to identify good practices and good experience already done in our region in this context, and then in order to develop new policy measures to be implemented in the next couple of years. During the example of our region, for example, we identified some practice we did to share with our partners in support measure for the self-evaluation of the small and medium enterprise themselves, or in order to facilitate, for instance, the purchasing of external experts for doing technological audit within the own enterprises. The idea was to support entrepreneurs in doing a sort of technological roadmap in order to integrate the new solution and the new opportunities within own business before to ask for new materials, new hardware and software, or invest in something. And we also developed some self-evaluation tools that they can use for free using the web tools. Particularly in Tuscany, we realized a platform just to facilitate the orientation of the small and medium enterprises concerning the support measure, concerning the opportunities, concerning the research center also, and the competence they can find in the region. Concerning the upcoming future, we are working in the different way. We are trying to strengthening the vocational training of entrepreneurs and workers by supporting the growth of laboratories 4.0, where to implement and deploy training courses for small and medium enterprise and also students, using obviously new solution in the different production sector we have in our country. We particularly, through our policy system, realize 7 foundations. So they are alliance between Eiger Technical Institute, vocational training agency, and enterprises themselves in order to agree and then provide together new technical course. And we are working to strengthen this system with new laboratories. We are also working in order to create support measures for support the training of the trainer themselves, because also trainers, also teachers have to enter in this new world and not always are fully prepared at this scope. Obviously, I was talking about what we are doing in Tuscany, but the same is happening in the other 6 regions, including Bucharest, Ilfov, and each partner already identified the priority on which to focus on action plan.
Thank you, Lorenzo. So after identifying the needs, we also need and we want to address them. So I would like to ask to Barbara, within the 4.0 Ready project, you are designing an action plan to improve the support services for SMEs. So what kind of services are offered to them, and especially for competence development, and how do you support publicly this service?
Welcome everyone. I'm very glad to be here with you. It's my first time in Bucharest, in Romania. And first of all, if you agree, I would just say a little more about the region I come from.
Yes, of course.
Because maybe for our listeners, it would be also interesting. So Silesia is in the south of Poland. Katowice is the capital of the Silesia region. And we are post-industrial and post-coal mining region, which is going through a transformation period now. And since 2003, we were the first region in Poland to run the regional innovation strategy. Now we have the 3rd one, which has been updated last year. And we identify 5 smart specialization of the region, and that are the direction in which we want to follow our regional development. They are medicine, ICT, energy, energetics, the green economy, and emerging industries. Back to your question, thanks to this kind of project, because we are running also, or we are as leader or partner in many different Interreg Euro projects, which help us to exchange this experience between different partners, and to put in our policy good examples, good practice, or to observe what works, or what doesn't work. And concerning our action plan, so we plan two action. In fact, first is scaling up the activities and tools aimed at disseminating the digitalization in SMEs, and the second one, support for the comprehensive digital transformation in SMEs. I must say that the idea of 4.0 industry is new, and the policy implemented so far at the regional level hasn't had adequate support and tools, and moreover, the current we are reaching the end of the current financial period. So concerning this first action, we are focused on implementation of 2 own projects of Silesian self-government, so the regional level, and which are prepared in a non-competitive procedure. And the results of this project will be will be used to provide the medium and long-term policy change. One concerns the support of support and professionalization of business support institutions for SMEs in the area of Industry 4.0, and the other concerns the improvement of the quality of vocational education and adapting this educational offer to the needs of the labor market. Both will be co-financed by the still current Regional Operational Program 2014-2021. And so the first one is focused on developing these solutions and tools for building the competitiveness between SMEs in the region. And the second one, so it names is Silesia Professionals. So the aim is to improve to increase the quality of vocational education and improve and adapt the educational offer to the needs of the labor market. And supporting is focused on supporting the professions in the area of innovation, and including those related to the 4.0 industry. And also we within this project we will establish the Regional Council for Vocational Education. So it was already mentioned how it's important to make this link between educators, trainers, teachers, of course students, and this labor representatives, labor or entrepreneurs and businesses. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. In our project, besides our partners, we have an important role played by the regional stakeholders. So I also would like to listen to how they are approaching this and helping us in improving our policy instruments. So I would like to ask to Jessica, who's connected with us online. I remind that she's from the Digital Agency of Wallonia. The following questions, with an eye to the human factor, as we said, what kind of tools have you developed in your region to measure the digital maturity of SMEs? And following that, what kind of method do you apply to support the manufacturing companies?
Thank you, Pietro. It is important, in fact, to speak about human factor because, in 2020, the Digital Agency of Wallonia has conducted a study about the key factor of success to become an industry 4.0. And one of the first result was that digital transformation is first a human and cultural challenge for manufacturing enterprises. So thank you to emphasize on the human factor. So today I would like to share with you two good practices that we have developed in Wallonia. The first one is the DigiScore. It's called the DigiScore. So every 2 years, we develop a digital maturity barometer, which is designed under 4 dimensions. So we have the first one, digital infrastructure. So we measure software, IT equipment, etc. inside the enterprise. The second one is focused on organization and collaboration. So what are the digital tools that encourage collaboration? Then we focus on the digitalization of process, so the use of technology that help information flows, for example. And then the last dimension is the corporate digital strategy. So the digital technology used in interaction with providers or customers. So since 2018, 763 manufacturing companies in Wallonia have used this tool, this digital maturity tool, and the result was that the digital maturity level of manufacturing companies is slightly above the average of all kind of company in Wallonia, but there are some differences between industrial sectors. So, for example, we can say that the maturity level is higher in the biotech sector than in the chemical industry. So this is so the DigiScore. It's free, it's online, and so the enterprise can use it when they are ready. So the second tool is about the support that we can bring to the enterprise in order to implement digital projects. So this tool is actually a methodology called Made Different, and Made Different is part of a regional program, Industrie du Futur. Industrie du Futur aims to increase awareness to the use of technologies in the production line, but also support change, accompany enterprises in the transformation process. Also, one of the objectives is to promote 4.0 trends in a large general public, and also to develop skills and competencies. So, speaking about the objective of supporting transformation, Wallonia used this methodology called Made Different, and actually, so each enterprise can activate an expert 4.0 in order to have a diagnostic. This diagnostic is based on 7 transformations, so we have a framework of 7 transformations. So transformations are advanced manufacturing technology, smart manufacturing, eco-factory, digital factory, networked factory, and of course the human-centered organization. So the expert and the enterprise will design a transformation plan during 10 days based on 1 or 2 transformations in order to launch pilot projects. So the expert will then advise the enterprise on the further steps in order to activate financial tools or other tools based on the action plan that the enterprise will get after 10 days of diagnostic.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. And after Belgium, we are crossing Europe, and I would like to know from Povilas what is happening in Lithuania. So the question is the following: in your competence center, if you have supported SMEs in any significant initiative for competence development.
So hello everyone, and thank you for the invitation to this panel discussion. Lithuania Innovation Center is definitely one of the most important players in Lithuania when it comes to Industry 4.0 and industry digitization and the promotion of the circular economy are some of the strategic priorities of our organization in order to foster Lithuania's economic potential and its transition to a climate neutral economy. Of course, digital and green transformation will not happen without the digitalization-friendly environment, and therefore human capital and competencies, which would allow us to create the digital technologies, to adapt them to our industry, and work with them in production processes are highly important. And in this context, one of the biggest and most important projects implemented by the Lithuanian Innovation Center together with partners was the development of Lithuanian Industry and Digitization Roadmap 2019-2030. A wide range of stakeholders were involved in the development of this strategy, and in fact, in 2017, national industry digitization platform called Industry 4.0 was established, and it unites various representatives from government, from business side, and from academia. And this platform is composed of 6 different working groups, and one of them is specifically dedicated to issues related to human capital. And in the roadmap development process, all working groups had regular meetings and thematic discussions in the context of Industry 4.0, and Lithuania Innovation Center coordinated the process of drafting the document in order to incorporate the suggestions made by the experts from the platform, and to also LAC was involved in the preparation of a final strategy. So actually, Lithuanian Industry Digitization Roadmap was highly praised by the European Commission, because our prepared document was one of the first of its kind in the whole European Union. So to briefly introduce you our roadmap, it consists of 3 parts. The first one is analytical paper. The second one is the recommendations document, and the third part is, of course, the roadmap itself. And in the context of all 3 documents, human capital and competencies play one of the key roles. Nevertheless, this document emphasizes that Lithuania faces various challenges related to human capital and competencies. And just to give you a couple of examples, for example, in Lithuania we have a balanced labor market, which means that there is a lack of highly qualified employees, and there is an excess of labor force with low competencies. We also lack some skills, knowledge, and tradition in how to advance technology and how to foster the spread in our industrial businesses, and also our industry-related higher education and vocational study programs are not attractive enough, and they do not address our industry. So despite these challenges related to human capital, Lithuania's goal under the industry digitization roadmap is to become a regional leader in manufacturing, which would be dominated by small, smart, and agile factories, which would create higher added value production, and our companies would be integrated into international value chains. And also, at the same time, strategy clearly identifies goals related to competencies and pays special attention to it. So, for example, according to the industry digitization vision defined in the document in 2030, we expect to provide an access to a variety of specialists related to digitization and digital factories that industry demands. We also provide opportunities for lifelong learning, non-formal education, and competencies enhancement through industry and academia cooperation. And we also expect to attract talented professionals from abroad. So would it be experts already working in the industry, or students who would study here and stay after the end of their studies. And at the same time, our industry digitization roadmap also defines some KPIs related to our human capital in the context of Industry 4.0. So, for example, by 2030, the number of PhDs who are prepared by universities together with business entities will be 40. And just to give you an example, in 2017 the number was only 2. We will also have a new study program related to digital manufacturing, and by 2030 we expect to have 500 specialists prepared under this new study program. By 2030, the number of postdoctoral trainees in the industry will reach 200. And again, in 2016, there were no such postdoctoral trainees in Lithuania. And also we expect that our share of enterprises which organize ICT trainings for the employees will be maintained at 10%. So within policy recommendations and Lithuanian goals described in the roadmap, 3 ministries, so that is Ministry of Economy and Innovation, Ministry of Education, Science and Sports, and Ministry of Finance prepared a plan of measures for the Lithuanian industry digitization roadmap. And this plan has 4 different tasks, one of which is exclusively devoted to human capital and their competencies, and there are 10 different policy measures dedicated to implement this task. So, for example, these measures are related to infrastructure required to train professionals, competencies of our teachers who are related to digitization, apprenticeship programs, vocational training, lifelong learning, and so on. And also it is important to mention that most of these policy measures will be implemented until 2027, and all of them will be financed from EU structural funds, our national state budget, and also other sources of funding. So, of course, upcoming EU programming period, upcoming structural funds will be crucial for Lithuania to succeed in this regard. Also, it is important to mention that we are planning to constantly review and update our industry digitization roadmap within a few years. So this roadmap could respond to the latest policy changes, new statistical information, and most importantly, it would allow us to see what progress Lithuania has made in the recent years. So the first review process was actually implemented by Lithuania Innovation Center in the winter of 2020. And last but not least, our industry digitization roadmap has its own regional dimension. So taking into account our prepared roadmap and the related initiatives, Panevėžys region, which is one of the industrial centers in Lithuania, with the help of Lithuania Innovation Center, initiated Industry 4.0 Panevėžys initiative, and the main goal of this initiative is to contribute to the development of Panevėžys region as the innovative manufacturing center. And within this initiative, we plans to implement a variety of activities related to human capital. So, for example, we plan to establish a STEAM center, develop vocational training and study programs, for colleges and universities which are established in this region. Of course, they will organize career opportunity events in Panevėžys region and so on. So if you are interested in our national Lithuanian industry digitization roadmap, please do not hesitate to contact me.
Okay, thank you, Povilas, for this thoroughly structured description of the strategy you're implementing. Being in Romania, I think it was important also to have a local taste of approach to Industry 4.0. So, Stefan, my question for you is, from a public policy perspective, how are the EU funds and other type of grants helping to improve digital competencies here in Romania?
Thank you, Petro, for the introduction. First of all, thank you, everybody, and it's really been very nice to meet all the stakeholders and partners of the project. I am here as a stakeholder, but in, let's say, double quality. I am both a partner in Omega Trust, which is a consultancy company, and I personally take care of advising companies, ITNC, and technology innovation companies in getting the grants they need for development. And last but not least, as a funding director at Smart Alliance Innovation Technology Cluster. So, as already told, funding is a very important issue. And before just answering the question, is funding the most important thing for SMEs when talking about Industry 4.0, what the project did was it presented a really interesting approach in the sense that it did a survey on SMEs and also an exploratory research that showed the fact that for SMEs, they scored the highest. Over 70% of them considered that the immediate, let's say, limitation for them and also the solution would be accessing EU funds. So that indirectly means that using their own funds is not enough to access all the fruits of the Industry 4.0. Now, after doing these researches, in the project, we have asked ourselves what we can do in order to improve policy at this moment. Of course, it is easy to say, you know, just wipe everything with a sponge and write it all up again, but it's not possible because the needs of the companies are dynamic and the policies need to also adapt to the needs of the companies. So I think, and I would like to highlight, this is by far the most important, let's say, result and good practice that I would like to share with everybody, was the fact that through this process, we identified two very important aspects. First was promoting and disseminating information about the funding available for SMEs. And the second was changing or updating existing funding programs in order to offer solutions within those programs for Industry 4.0 and digitalization in general. And this actually happened with a program under the Human Capital Program in Romania that offers solutions for skilling and digitalizing employees of SMEs. And there we managed to influence the technical and the scoring criteria in the sense that the authority had a better way of understanding how to facilitate this issue and also for the beneficiaries to benefit from funding and implement their solutions. So we feel that this way of doing these types of policies and updating existing programs where they are is one of the best solutions for Romania. And now, talking about funding, even starting with the previous funding period from 2007, in Romania there were quite a lot of funds addressing ITNC as well. So funds for companies in order to implement digitalization and ITNC solutions, and also for ITNC companies in order to develop those types of solutions. Now, what this project brings, and we learn, of course, from all the experiences in all of the regions, is a more unitary approach to an existing framework. In Romania, we don't have, let's say, a per se policy for Industry 4.0, but we do have many other legislations, rules, that we can influence at the moment. So we were actually discussing with the partners from OIR Bucharest, that I would like to thank, by the way, for all of their involvement and their hard work, that in the Bucharest Ilfov region, the regional operational program has a very interesting approach towards innovation and digitalization, and we hope that in the next period, with our institutional and private partners, we will be able to also influence in a good manner the future funding programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. We thought that it was good and interesting not just to talk about ourselves and our project, but also to involve a similar and project funded by the Interreg Europe program. Thus we invited here to talk Besnik Mehmeti, who is leading the project SMARTY, also on Industry 4.0, but we would like, let's say, a third perspective on this important paradigm, let's say. So, Besnik, my question for you is the following. What is the approach to Industry 4.0 in your project, in this MATI project? And if you have found any group practice which is interesting in dealing with competency building?
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very honored to be here today with you. My name is Besnik Mehmeti, and I'm a project manager at the city of Prato in Italy. Prato is the second city in Tuscany. It's close to Florence and very well known because it's home to one of the most important textile districts, textile manufacturing districts in Italy and perhaps even in Europe. And the SMART project is an Interreg Europe project approved in the fourth call, which takes inspiration from the work done within the Industry 4.0 partnership of the thematic smart specialization platform on industry modernization. And the main aim of the project is to accelerate the uptake of Industry 4.0 technologies by small medium companies, which of course are those less prepared to the digital revolution. SMARTY has a wide partnership of 14 partners. 6 of them are managing authorities from Italy, from Spain, from 2 regions in Spain, in particular Catalonia and Castilla and Leon, Mazovia in Poland, Lapland in Finland, West Yorkshire in England, and perhaps I forget any of our partners. However, our objective as a project, as in general, all the Interreg Europe project is to improve structural implementation, the design and implementation of structural policies supporting investments and projects for Industry 4.0, and of course increase the awareness and about the adoption of the technologies and solutions by companies. The main topics of SMARTY we have been, let's say, exchanging good practices, and I'm not focused. I'm not stopping. Not talking about the methodology of Interreg Europe projects, which I believe you already know. So our exchange of good practices has been mainly based during the last 2 years on digital awareness tools to measure the maturity, the technological maturity of companies for Industry 4.0. The Industry 4.0 ecosystem, so how to create alliances at the local regional level for Industry 4.0. Then about another topic has concerned the Digital Innovation Hub initiatives, to support the digital transformation of SMEs. Another last topic we have tackled was about the digitalization for green transition and sustainability. And in 2 weeks, we will have the last round of exchange of good practices, which will be on digital innovation and skills for Industry 4.0. So at the moment, I cannot bring you a good practice from the partners. Perhaps I will try to talk about a project we are implementing in this month in PRATO. So let me see. Yeah. And now the project is nearly at the final phase, and we are we are starting to work on the action plans, as you know. However, I would like also to provide you the estimated impact of some information on the estimated impact of SMARTY, which is we plan to deliver 63 policy learning events. You know, policy learning events mean not only the events of exchange of experience at interregional level, but also the local stakeholder group meetings at regional level. We have identified around 18 good practices so far, and we plan to identify other 8. So our plan is to have 26 good practices related to Industry 4.0. with 4 good practices, guidelines, and policy recommendations. We have developed regional mappings for Industry 4.0, and this was at the beginning of our project. And we have already improved 2 policy instruments, and we are planning to do so with other 6 policy instruments. Now, coming to a good practice that we have developed in PRATO, I can talk about our project called Prisma, which is a project that was in part also inspired by SMARTY. And this project is aiming to create a technology transfer center, working with research centers, with universities, and with company accelerators, and also involving our textile companies to promote the transition to digital technologies. And we are dealing in particular with technologies such as blockchain, augmented reality, 5G, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence. We have already carried out a technological audit on the maturity of nearly 50 companies in PRATO, and this was around in May and June. And we have also developed a series of webinars on that were provided by our partners, as I said, universities, technology centers, etc., on this kind of technologies to the companies. Mainly, these webinars were participated by entrepreneurs. Just take into consideration that the structure of our companies, not being small and medium ones, and our companies don't have, let's say, an innovation manager, or so the entrepreneur is directly involved in the webinars. And we have through this project also launched 2 calls. One call for startups, for identification of startups, and the other for the textile companies which would collaborate together with our partners to develop prototypes with a technological readiness level at least 6. So yeah, and then another what I can mention here is that last July we concluded a memorandum of understanding with the Tuscany region and with our local stakeholders, so association of companies, but and the trade unions, about the professional training, and this was, I mean, let's say, aimed to bring professional training, the project of professional training more towards the digital transformation, and let's say abandoning some projects that have, of course, contributed to professionalize young people or unemployed people, but without a clear focus on digital transformation. So the aim of this, let's say, agreement we reached with Tuscany region was to focus the fundings from the social fund, European Social Fund, more towards the digital skills of employees working on the textile district.
Okay, thank you, Besnik, for your contribution, and especially thank you for your availability in helping us, giving some contribution. So I think we're done. I mean, I hope we provided some interesting experiences, and you are very welcome to get in contact with the partners or anyway with any member of this project. We are very keen to show you how we're working on, what kind of good practices we're finding, and so thank you again for inviting us.
Thank you too for being here and for all your knowledge you shared with us. Thank you.